Hello,
Hello.
everybody, again. This is number 2 of 4 on our Writing to Sell Your Novel series. And last week, if you missed it, we dealt with synopsis writing,
I'm
which
not
is
yet
very much
writing.
not blurb writing.
No.
And today we are dealing with blurb writing itself.
Mm.
So blurb writing, as opposed to synopsis writing, is most definitely for your reader. It is
Yeah.
public facing.
Yes.
So Hazel, I know you've had to write your own blurb for something that is forthcoming. I know announcement hasn't been made yet, so I won't spoil it.
But
But
by the time this goes out,
you
the
will have.
forthcoming novel, Babs and Aggie, The Good, the Bad, and the Vegan. There we go.
Brilliant. So, yes, forthcoming novel, Babs and Aggie, The Good, the Bad, and the Vegan. You have had to write a blurb for that.
I do. Do you know?
It was an experience, wasn't
It
it?
was. It took how many of us? 6. There were 6 people in that room
Yes.
writing
Yes.
that blurb before we finally settled on something. And it's ridiculous. Do you know what? I'm not, no false modesty. I'm not being arrogant. I'm a cracking writer. And I know
You
I'm
are.
only going to get better as the years go on because I'll keep learning. I can write at this moment in time a 100-word story that will bring someone to tears. I've made people feel sorry for magical letters. I've made you fall in love with a wooden hut. You know, I can do all these things, and yet writing a is my nemesis synopsis. It's a lisp thing again.
Or
Synopsis
Lithbian.
nemesis. Yeah, but writing blurb. So if out there you're thinking, oh, my blurb, you're in good company, because I've got to admit that's how I feel about it. Again, I think it comes down to you've created this wonderful world that you've invited people into, and you've told this fabulous story, and then you've got to distill that into about 200 words or so.
Or if less than that, I'd say. Usually less.
I think mine was about between 150 and 200. I think it was closer to the 150. So yes, you have to condense the story, and it has to be within the story. You can't just say Babs and Aggie, The Good, the Bad, and the Vegan is this type of book and it tells this story. It has to introduce the characters, the style of writing, what it's all about, the genre, what people can expect from it, all within the world of the story itself. How do we do that, Deanne? I'm batting it back to you because it took 6 people for me to do it. So
yeah, and I was one of them. And it took every ounce of brain power of all of us, didn't it? Blurb writing is hard. So, how do you do it? Well, you need to incorporate your characters and your plot and the genre that you're writing in without saying, this is a cozy fantasy for, or this is women's fiction, or this is a horror novel, or
you
those sorts
also
of things.
need to, sorry, talking over you there, you also need to introduce the problem that's going to be, hopefully, that's going to be resolved throughout the lifespan of your story.
Yeah. So very early on, you need to get to that problem. So you will explain who you will not, you will set up who the character is, the context in which they are living, if there's something specific you need to know about them. For example, whether they are a secret agent, whether they are a small town cafe owner, whatever they are, and then what goes wrong, what problem they need to overcome, and how they are feeling about it as well. So is it a spy or spy catcher novel in which the hero is super confident that this is, the job they're going to do and they can do it, but actually it turns out to be really, really hard, but he's the hero, so he can do it? Or is it actually, I've never coped with something like this before?
Yeah.
How does the character feel about the problem as well as what the problem is? You also want to try to capture, as you said earlier, the style of the story, the style of the particular writer, the style that is part of the genre. So you'll be using the vocabulary of thriller if it's a thriller. You'll be using the vocabulary of cozy fiction if it's cozy fiction. And yes, you're trying to wrap all of those things up in about 150 words.
Yes. So I'm actually going to reach behind me and just grab a couple of random books off my bookcase, and we can talk about how the blurb works for that.
That's a good idea. What book has one of your favorite blurbs, do you think?
Oh, you're really throwing it out there now. I can't think. I've got two books here. So very different. And I'm going to start with Rebecca, which is one of my favorites. As you can see, it's been well read. Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again. Ancient, beautiful Manderley, between the rose garden and the sea, is the country's showpiece. Rebecca made it so. Even a year after her death, Rebecca's influence still rules there. How can Maxim de Winter's shy new bride ever fill her place or escape her vital shadow? A shadow that grows longer and darker as a brief summer fades, until, in a moment of climactic revelations, it threatens to eclipse Manderley and its inhabitants completely. Daphne du Maurier's masterpiece weaves a special magic that no one who reads it will ever forget. Now, it's different having a book that is very famous and iconic, and that first line is something that it's classed as one of the greatest openings in literature, and for a reason, because it hooks you in straight away. You know that she's dreaming, so you know that she's no longer at Manderley. You know that Manderley must be something special. You don't know what Manderley is at that point. And so an opening line, it's fantastic. It then tells you what Manderley is. It tells you who Rebecca is. And it tells you who the problem is, who is experiencing the problems, Maxim de Winter's shy new bride. And what the problem is, she's living in the shadow of a ghost, effectively. So yes, and it's done in very formal language. So it's because it's set in the, it's the upper class of British societies in the
I want to say 30s.
I want to say 30s as well. I think it might be late 20s, early 30s. But yes, so again, it taps into that feeling. And yes, as a hook, you find yourself drawn into it.
The word it used there towards the end is that revelations. Did it say revelations in it?
It's good.
Yes.
Climactic revelations, no doubt.
Climactic revelations. So a big new piece of information is going to come to light, and it will change everything. You do avoid giving the spoilers in your blurb, clearly.
Because you want people to read on.
Yes. So that is one of the huge differences then between blurb writing and synopsis writing. What's the other one you've got?
The other one I've got is by lovely, wonderful Claire Fayers.
Yes.
Our favourite children's author, and Stormhound was the first book of hers that I read and fell in love with. And she's fabulous. We do love her. So, myths, legends, stories. They are all words for facts that people have forgotten. Storm of Odin is the youngest stormhound of the Wild Hunt, and he can't wait to haunt the lightning-filled skies with his fearsome howls. On his very first hunt, Storm finds he can't keep up and falls to earth, landing on a road just outside Abergavenny, Wales. Enter 12-year-old Jessica Price, who adopts a cute puppy from the rescue centre. And suddenly, a number of strange people seem very interested in her and her new pet, Storm. People who seem to know a lot about magic.
So the main character there is the dog rather than the girl. And so it introduces the dog first. And we know the dog's secret, that he is actually one of the hounds of Odin.
Yes.
And they're dumped on Earth as a puppy. And doesn't like it very much.
No, he does not.
Him.
And I love the opening gambit of they're all words for facts that people have forgotten. I love that. Myths, legends, stories. They are all words for facts that people have forgotten. And that immediately tells you that there's going to be a fantasy element to this. But also that it's going to be a contemporary fantasy, because people have forgotten it. And so something's going to happen that's going to remind people that this is real and it's going to enter the world.
Yeah. And so it says it that way rather than saying this is a contemporary fantasy story.
Yes.
Yeah. So with those examples there, we would encourage you, when it comes to blurb writing, to set aside a good amount of time to draft it, redraft it, get feedback, redraft it again.
Bring in a crew to help you do it, offer them, feed them cake.
Exactly. Yeah, find people who will work for cake. That's all. That's always always a good approach. So blurb writing is tricky. It's got to be short. Every single word counts.
Have to earn their place.
And it is arguably the most important piece of writing that you will do in order to sell your novel. So it is worth the effort, but it is an effort.
So yes.
So
I don't know if there's anything more we can say at this moment in time.
No, because we're still feeling a little shell shocked from the work it took to write your blurb, I think. But yes, we will be back next week with more talk about the writing that you have to do in order to sell your novel. Yes. And we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care now. Bye.